What is the difference between Barbary lions and African lions? Have you ever heard of a lion that roamed snowy mountains? It might sound like a fairy tale, but such lions really existed. Meet the Barbary lion, once found in the Atlas Mountains of North Africa. Now, how is that different from the African lions you see on safari or in nature documentaries? What is the difference between Barbary lions and African lions, and how can you tell which is which? These questions spark a wild comparison. One lion prowls in chilly forests and rocky slopes. The other rules the hot savannas. One grew an extra fluffy coat fit for winter. The other enjoys the sunshine on open plains. By the end of this video, you'll know the difference between Barbary lions and African lions, from their looks and homes to how they live. Appearance. At first glance, Barbary lions and African lions look similar. Both are big cats with powerful builds. But if you look closer, you'll spot some key differences in appearance. The male Barbary lion was famous for its impressive mane, a thick, long, dark fur that extended over its shoulders, chest, and even belly. This mane was like a built-in winter coat, keeping the Barbary lion warm in cold mountain weather. In fact, Barbary males often had long hair on their front legs and stomach, making them look extra shaggy. African lions also have manes on the males, but these manes vary a lot. In the hot savanna, a super thick mane can be uncomfortable, so many African lion males have shorter, lighter-colored manes, and in very hot regions, some males have almost no mane at all. It's like they got a summer haircut. The Barbary lion's mane was usually darker and fuller than what you'd see on most African lions. There's also a difference in size that many people talk about. Barbary lions were known to be among the largest of all lions. Historical accounts and research suggest a full-grown Barbary male could measure about 7.5 to 9.1 feet from nose to tail and weigh as much as 507 pounds. Regular African lions are no lightweights either. A big male African lion typically weighs around 400 to 420 pounds and measures about 8.2 to 9.1 feet in length. Habitat and range. Why did the Barbary lion grow such a grand mane and possibly get larger? A lot of it has to do with habitat and climate. The Barbary lion lived in North Africa, specifically the region known as the Maghreb, which spans from Morocco across Algeria to Tunisia and even into western Egypt. Unlike the African lions further south, Barbary lions aren't lounging under acacia trees on open grassland. They roamed mountainous forests, coastal woodlands, and even edges of the Sahara Desert. Their home turf included the Atlas Mountains, where winters could be cold and snow sometimes blanketed the peaks. That's right, these lions sometimes had to deal with chilly temperatures and maybe even snow. Growing a longer, thicker mane and generally thicker fur was likely helpful for a Barbary lion to stay warm during cold Atlas Mountain nights. In contrast, African lions live in a much warmer range. Today, African lions are found only in parts of sub-Saharan Africa, basically the middle and southern regions of Africa, below the Sahara Desert. They love habitats like savannas, grasslands, and open woodlands. They can also live in scrublands and some semi-desert areas, but generally, you won't find African lions in dense rainforest or extreme cold. The heat of the savanna means African lions don't need super thick fur. A lighter mane and coat help them stay cool. So, geographically, the two lions were separated by the Great Sahara Desert. This separation meant they evolved slightly different ways to cope. The Barbary lion's range was more limited and rugged. Prey was scattered, and human settlements also were encroaching over time. African lions, on the other hand, historically had a huge range. Another big difference related to habitat is what happened to them in those places. The Barbary lion's habitat was greatly reduced by humans. North Africa saw heavy human population growth and habitat loss over centuries, and lions were pushed into smaller pockets in the mountains. By the mid-20th century, Barbary lions disappeared from the wild. The last known wild Barbary lion was probably shot in the 1940s in Morocco. They simply couldn't survive with people hunting them and their forest homes shrinking. Meanwhile, African lions still roam wild in sub-Saharan Africa, although in fewer numbers than before. Behavior and social life. Perhaps the most striking difference between Barbary lions and African lions is how they behave socially. Lions are famous for being the only cats that live in large family groups called prides. If you've seen photos of African lions, you often see a big pride, maybe a dozen females lounging together, their cubs playing, and a couple of majestic males guarding the group. African lions are indeed very social. The pride life means African lions team up for hunting and share family duties. Now, compare this to what we know of the Barbary lion. The Barbary lion lived in an environment where prey was scarcer and more spread out. Because of this, Barbary lions behave more like lone wolves. They did not form large prides at all. Instead, Barbary lions were usually seen alone, in pairs, or in very small family units. Often, it might be just a male and female together, possibly with some cubs tagging along, but not the big group of aunties and cousins that African lions have. Early naturalists and hunters who described Barbary lions noted that they seemed to roam solo or in tiny groups, and this is backed up by modern research suggesting the Barbary's social structure was limited by its environment. In simple terms, Barbary lions were far less social. They were more like tigers in behavior. Tigers usually hunt and live alone, whereas African lions are the socialites of the cat world. Another behavioral difference is territory and roaring. African lions roar loudly to communicate with their pride and warn other lions to stay away. Barbary lions also roared. They are the same species after all. But with fewer lions around, their roars were more about finding a mate or advertising presence to humans. There wasn't another pride over the next hill because prides weren't a thing for them. Family life differed too. In African lion prides, females do most of the cub rearing communally. Lionesses will even nurse each other's cubs. The pride's cubs played together like a big daycare. Male lions, especially the dominant ones, protect the pride and its cubs from outside males. In Barbary lion's case, with only a male-female pair and their cubs, the single mother likely raised her cubs mostly on her own or with help from the one male partner. There wasn't aunts and sisters to cub sit. This might mean Barbary lion cub mortality was high if something happened to the parents. It was a tougher life for a young Barbary lion, with fewer adults around to help. History and status. The tale of these two types of lions also diverges when we look at their history and current status. The Barbary lion's story is both legendary and tragic. In ancient times, Barbary lions were respected and feared by people in North Africa and Europe. The Romans, for example, encountered Barbary lions and were so impressed that they brought many of them to Rome for gladiator battles and arena shows. Unfortunately, this led to thousands of Barbary lions being killed in Roman arenas for entertainment long ago. The Barbary lion was a symbol of strength. It even appeared in the art and folklore of the Berber people of Morocco. Fast forward to the 19th and early 20th century, and the Barbary lion was in peril. Habitat loss and hunting drastically reduced their numbers. Local rulers and European colonists often saw lions as threats to livestock or as trophies to hunt. By the 1800s, Barbary lions had vanished from many places they used to live. They were pushed into remote mountain areas. The end came around the mid-20th century. However, the Barbary lion isn't gone from Earth entirely. A small number of Barbary lions had been kept in captivity, particularly by the Moroccan royal family and in some European zoos. Genetic tests have shown that some of these zoo lions do carry genes from North African Barbary populations, though many are mixed with other African lions. Meanwhile, African lions are still with us in the wild, but they face challenges too. They once ranged all across Africa, but now African lions have lost roughly 94% of their historic range, and their population has dropped significantly. Today, perhaps around 20,000 African lions remain in the wild, and they are considered vulnerable to extinction by conservation organizations. The threats are a bit similar to what the Barbary faced: habitat loss, human-lion conflict, and poaching or illegal trade. The big difference is the world is now actively trying to save African lions before it's too late. Many countries have national parks where lions are protected. So what is the difference between Barbary lions and African lions? By now you can likely answer that yourself. One was a North African mountain lion with a thick dark mane and a mostly solitary life, built to survive in cold forests and rugged terrain. The other is a sub-Saharan African lion, the familiar savanna dweller with a lighter mane, especially in hotter areas, and a social lifestyle in prides. They are actually the same species of lion, but different subspecies or populations with their own twists, shaped by environment, climate, and history. The Barbary lion was larger-maned and possibly a bit larger-bodied on average, adapted to chasing deer in misty mountain woods. The African lion is the classic lion we know, adapted to sprinting after zebras on golden plains and cooperating with its pride. In the end, both Barbary and African lions are majestic in their own ways. Imagine walking in the Atlas Mountains long ago. A Barbary lion could be watching you from a rocky ledge, alone and proud. Now imagine standing on the Serengeti. An African lion pride might be sprawled under an acacia tree, with cubs playing around their mothers. Two very different scenes, two very different lions, yet cousins under the skin. Knowing their differences helps us appreciate how diverse and adaptable wildlife can be.